Shalom from Jerusalem. Here we are, almost 2025, and what really happened in 2024? It was a crazy year. We are in the middle of the battle against Hamas, the terrorist group Hamas in Gaza. We still have 100 hostages inside Gaza. No deal has been made. They keep changing their demands. And recently, actually, for the first time in almost a year, we had a rocket land here in Jerusalem at 2:15 in the morning. We had to run into the bomb shelter, and they had millions of Israelis running to the bomb shelter here in Jerusalem, and all the people that were running to the bomb shelters around Tel Aviv. So they're still kicking and trying to make demands, and so we'll see what happens. Trump, who's coming to power in next year soon, has said that the hostages better be freed before he takes over. So we'll see what happens with that. And then, so Hamas was weakened. Then Israel put their attention to the north against the terrorist group Hezbollah in Lebanon, who had been attacking Israel and provoked since October 8th. The massacre was October 7th. October 8th, they started launching rockets from Lebanon. And so 11 months later, Israel decided to go and attack Hezbollah and try to defeat them, because they had several towns, like 14, 15 towns that were completely evacuated. We have refugees all over Israel. And so these towns are pretty much empty. And so they weakened the terrorist group Hezbollah in an amazing way through beepers that exploded and killed most of the leadership of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah was weakened, therefore they had always been there for the Syrian president in Syria, for the Syrian regime. But since they were weakened, there was nobody to protect the Syrian president. So the rebels in Syria, who were against the Syrian president, and they've been trying to get rid of him for many years, finally they said, okay, Hezbollah's not there to help out the president of Syria. Let's go for it. So they like over the weekend, it was so quick, they started taking city after city after city, and before you knew it, they had taken over Damascus, the capital of Syria, and the president Assad had to flee to Russia with like $15 billion, and so the Russians took him with them, and so the Russians didn't protect the president of Syria, because they have a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine with the war in Ukraine. And so therefore Iran was not able to protect their ally, this president Syria. So that's pretty much, Syria changed over one weekend. It was amazing, and nobody was expecting that to happen, but it's been like a domino effect, with Israel defeating Hezbollah, defeating Hamas, and then everything took on after that. And then we have Iran, who tried to defeat and annihilate Israel through, supporting Hamas, supporting Hezbollah, and using Syria to bring in all the weapons into Lebanon for Hezbollah. And they've been also supporting the rebels in Yemen, the Houthis, which they are 2,000 kilometers away from Israel. Israel has not provoked them, and they've been launching a lot of rockets in here and making a lot of Israelis run for shelter. And they've been doing that quite a bit recently in the past few days. But they've been weakened because their ally in the Hezbollah, ally in Hamas, the president of Syria, they are pretty much weakened. So Iran has to figure out something else in order to destroy Israel. They still got the Houthis. We'll see if Israel has been talking about how to, like, attack Israel. I mean, attack Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen, to completely annihilate them, because they can't live like this with rebel groups trying to destroy you from 2,000 kilometers away, terrorizing us here, running for shelters, and they have been able to kill a few people. So, so that's what's going on. And then this anti-Semitism has grown so much all over the world, all over Europe, all over the United States, in colleges, in South America, in Australia. And so something's got to be done, because this can't go on. The Islamic terrorist ideology has taken over a lot of countries in Europe and the United States. And so that's one of the main driving forces in this anti-Semitism. And we've seen it recently in Netherlands, in the UK. And so something's got to be done about this. And then so Israel's fighting 7 fronts, like I said, in Gaza, against Lebanon, in Lebanon, in Syria, Iraq, Iran, the Houthis, and anti-Semitism. So that's 7 fronts. And the other front is Judea and Samaria. There's a lot of terrorism going on in the Arab cities, Tulkarm, Nablus, but there has been some terrorist groups that have been emerging. Lion's Den, I think it's called. It's one of the bigger ones that have emerged, and also little groups from Hamas. And so the PA, trying to flex their muscles and trying to look good before the Biden administration and the Trump administration that's coming in soon, they have decided that they were going to fight terrorism. So the Biden administration is asking Israel to provide them with arms and weapons to fight this terrorism. And Israel's like, we'll pass on that, because they've already seen what they've done in October 7th and other times. So they don't want October 7th to happen again with their own arms going to the PA, and then the PA turns on Israel. And one more thing that was big in this year was the big protests around the world saying that Israel was committing genocide. But there is no genocide. There is no genocide. Almost 34,000 deaths were reported from the Hamas-Israel conflict, but everybody keeps saying that it was mostly children and women. But and these figures were given by Hamas, and then they said the health ministry of Gaza, which is pretty much Hamas. So I don't know why the world just takes these numbers and take them and they take them as real figures. But they've done research and studies on these deaths, and they've discovered that out of all these deaths, about 17,000 terrorists or Hamas fighters were killed. So subtract 17,000 from there. And then there were natural deaths in Gaza, about almost 10,000, 9,500 to 10,000. So take 10,000 out of that. And then there were duplicated deaths. 3,500 deaths were duplicated. So take out that amount as well. So you get roughly about 4,500 killed in this war, civilians killed in this war. And you got also include the people that Hamas killed in failed launches into the launches that they were trying to launch into Israel. They landed in Gaza. That also killed a lot of people. So these figures that are out there are not true. There is no genocide happening here in this war. And so that's it. A little bit of what happened this year. And so I ask you guys to pray for Israel, for the peace of Israel. Pray for the hostages that they will be able to be returned. Pray for the soldiers that are out there in Gaza, in Lebanon, and all the other fronts up in the air, in the sea. And pray that, some kind of solution will come to this area, and that 2025 will be much better. Until then, shalom, shalom.